that was fighting for gay rights, and people were killed.
Nobody was killed at Stonewall.
Nobody was killed.
When it comes to the feud between Alyssa Edwards and Coco Montrese, it's really an instant classic in the show's history because it's been really hard for any other rivalry to ever come close to topping it. I say this because what made the drama between Coco and Alyssa so engaging was not just the fact that these two contestants didn't seem to like each other while on the season, it's that they had a previous backstory that expanded years, with a series of events that ultimately led to their falling out. On season 5, within the first couple episodes of the season, we are informed that Alyssa and Coco used to be really close friends, but one day they competed together in a pageant where Alyssa Edwards won the title. Yet in the coming months, she was not able to fulfill her duties associated with the title, so the organization of the pageant came to the decision to revoke the crown and give it to Coco Montrese instead, which of course led to the breaking of the friendship between them. Yet that's all the show really left it at, and I wanted to explore the topic more. So in this video, I'm going to tell you the full story behind the infamous dethroning of Alyssa Edwards, along with explore some related topics as well. But before we start, please make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and follow me on Twitter at GreenGayYT to get updates on future content. Now, let's begin. Miss Gay America is a drag queen pageant that began in the year 1973, when Norma Christie would become the first ever drag queen to win the title. She would actually go on to buy the pageant in 1975, funding and promoting it for 3 decades until 2005, where she ended up selling it to a bigger company. I just felt I should highlight this, since to what us seems like ancient history was once present time. And without people like Norma, who went out of their way to dedicate a part of their lives to creating these spaces for queer art, then the world of drag wouldn't be what it is today. After all, the pageant systems of drag are a pillar when it comes to the culture of drag queens, especially in the United States. Nevertheless, towards the end of 2009, Alyssa Edwards and Coco Montrese were actually good friends that had gotten to know each other through the pageant system. So when they competed together for the title of Miss Gay America 2010, it should have gone smoothly. Yet, as we know, that's not how things turned out. One of the main reasons that the owners of Miss Gay America pageant got upset with Alyssa was because she traveled to California to judge the annual Miss Entertainer of the Year pageant, which is another one of the biggest drag queen pageant competitions in the country. So why was it wrong for Alyssa to go judge another random pageant? Well, apparently Alyssa was contractually obligated by the owners of Miss Gay America to ask them for permission on any type of business related to drag, at least for the duration of the year that she was going to hold the title. But Alyssa's argument was that when she went to go judge other pageants, she wasn't doing it as Miss Gay America, but simply as Alyssa Edwards herself, which of course didn't really cut it for the owners, since at the end of the day, she was the reigning queen whether she liked it or not. Yet Alyssa insisted that she was there only as a judge and not to entertain, so it wasn't the same thing as representing the title. The story then gets even more interesting, when apparently the organization behind the title of Miss Gay America was contacted by other queens that competed alongside Alyssa to inform them of how Alyssa was breaking the rules by judging other contests without their permission. Essentially, Alyssa was exposed by some mystery queen, ultimately leading to her dethroning. Soon after the announcement of Alyssa losing the title, while driving back home with her husband, Coco received a call from the owners of the pageant that informed her that she was now officially Miss Gay America 2010, due to Alyssa Edwards not being able to meet her responsibilities associated with the title. After the call, Coco would end up crying in her car due to how emotional the moment was. So why was there bad blood between Alyssa and Coco? Well, there was some rumors created by fans that Coco might have had some involvement in the campaign to get Alyssa dethroned, with people speculating that she was the one who informed the owners of Miss Gay America that Alyssa had gone to judge a competition in a different state without notifying them, which is perhaps what Alyssa was referring to when she said on season 5 that Coco was the one, quote, backstabbing her behind her back.
Coco was the one backstabbing me behind my back.
But of course, we don't actually know who it was, so take it with a grain of salt. But it's funny to think of Coco fully trying to conspire against Alyssa to get the title. Anyway, once Alyssa was stripped from the crown, she was the first ever queen in the pageant's history to ever have her title revoked. For Alyssa, this was one of the most embarrassing moments of her life, while Coco feels that it was actually more embarrassing for her, who didn't even get to experience the moment of winning the crown while the actual pageant was still going on. For Coco, winning the title almost 4 months later together just wasn't the same. It's kind of like when Jada Essence Hall won Drag Race in a Zoom call. Coco won Miss Gay America in her car. But to be fair, Coco would in fact get her own little crowning ceremony which took place in a nightclub. Yet even that didn't go as planned, as during the recrowning, someone in the crowd yelled, quote, "You are not the real gay Miss America." As to who this person was that yelled that at Coco is still a mystery. There's an urban legend that perhaps it was Alyssa that attended Coco's crowning undercover just to be messy, while others think it might have just been a random drunk person. Yet my theory is that maybe it was the same guy that heckled Ben de la Creme during the season 6 stand-up challenge.
The whole thing worthwhile.
So tell us a joke.
Good night.
Now, perhaps the cherry on top for this story is that in 2010, not only did Alyssa Edwards have her title revoked once, but that same exact year, Alyssa was also stripped of another title that she was competing in called All-American Goddess Pageant, where she ended up winning the crown. Anyway, apparently Alyssa began to do the same thing she did before, where she wasn't obeying the rules that were set by the pageant organizers, resulting in them having to revoke her title, making it the second consecutive title that Alyssa lost in a matter of months. What it seems to me is that Alyssa was just going to compete at these pageants purely for the validation of being able to win. So to her, it didn't matter having to obey contractual obligations because she felt secure in her drag career to deal with the consequences. But at the same time, it's clear that she didn't like the fact that her titles got revoked. So what do you guys think? Now, as I mentioned before, on January 12, 2010, Alyssa Edwards was one of the judges at a pageant called Entertainer of the Year pageant in California. One of the other judges was actually Tiffany Pollard, aka New York, who was a guest judge on season 11 of Drag Race. Nina West was also one of the judges after winning the title herself in 2008. When Alyssa judged the Entertainer of the Year pageant, it was coincidentally the same pageant that her drag daughter Shangela was competing in. Around this time, the first episode of season 2 had just aired, so Shangela had just become a first eliminated queen. Nevertheless, Shangela would actually go down to win the title of California's Entertainer of the Year pageant. Some have argued that the mere fact that Alyssa was Shangela's drag mother meant that there was a clear bias in the judging, but it's hard to really tell since there was other judges involved as well. So here's where things get more interesting. In the same pageant that Shangela won, the runner-up was actually Chad Michaels. Other queens that competed in that same exact pageant included Jasmine Masters, Detox, Delta Work, and Willem. For one of the talent categories, Detox wore the same outfit that she would go on to wear 5 years later on All Stars 2. I also found this interview that Willem did after the pageant in 2010, years before even getting on Drag Race, with quote, "I entered the contest to show everyone I was a triple threat and not just a perennial television guest star. Plus, I wanted to ride around in my Segway and Louis Vuittons, which I returned the very next day. I totally accomplished my goal and made everyone crack up. I think that the show could have used a bit more funny and a bit less serious pageant-y atmosphere." It's clear that even in 2010, Willem still exuded the same exact personality that he has now. Now, shortly before getting on season 5, Alyssa's drag career was slowly dying, and she truly felt like it was going to be the end of the road for her and ultimately have to quit drag. So getting on Drag Race would be the next big break she needed. On November 2012, Alyssa was announced to be a part of season 5, which was the beginning of her jump into mainstream stardom. Alyssa is an interesting queen because she's really one of the main success stories that helped pioneer to future Ru girls how they'd end up marketing themselves. Yet probably the biggest benefit that Alyssa had was that she was truly unapologetically herself at all times, not even realizing just how hilarious she was coming across to the viewers at home.
Do you like my nails? I'm not a seamstress. I'm very fortunate to have a couple that work closely with me, but I am the queen of the hot beluga.
It's also no secret that her storyline with Coco Montrese was one that was super entertaining to watch play out. Although when I look at Coco's run on season 5, it's hard not to notice that she was probably a lot more impacted by competing alongside Alyssa than Alyssa was herself. I mean, from what we could tell from the edit, Alyssa would be giving it her all in most challenges, while Coco tended to get in her head a lot, which is why she ended up getting upset with Detox during the singing challenge, because she thought that Detox was purposely trying to bother Coco by making her work alongside Alyssa. Now, this is complete speculation on my part, but I have a theory the production was originally just gonna cast Alyssa on the show simply because of her personality, but subsequently decided that they wanted to add in Coco Montrese specifically for the drama, which is why when Coco walked into the workroom and saw that Alyssa was already there, she knew what producers wanted to do. So while Alyssa was trying to handle the competition like it was competition, Coco must have known that production wanted her there for the drama, and if she didn't bring it, she'd be out. So Coco refused to budge or get over it while Alyssa was there, knowing that it would get both of them further in the competition. But who knows, for all we know, Coco and Alyssa were secretly besties and were just being catty for the camera. Which brings us to the lip sync between Coco Montrese and Alyssa Edwards that was truly the pinnacle of Drag Race. I mean, it was a very symbolic way to conclude the saga of who was the better entertainer. Yet no one could have beat Coco with the way she took advantage of her bright yellow runway look, along with the showcasing of her sleeves. It was just really hard to take your eyes off her, especially since Alyssa was wearing a mostly dark dress that blended with the background. But even then, Alyssa's elimination really makes you feel for her, so it's natural that she would end up building such a solid fanbase. Regardless, after Alyssa's run on the show, World of Wonder would end up offering her a series on YouTube called Alyssa's Secret, which was one of the first online hit series that WoW Presents got. Alyssa would then go on to be a choreographer for season 10 and season 11. It's kind of weird that the show introduced this concept of having previous alumni return as mentors, but never really did anything with it. Like, I'd love to see Bob come in to direct an acting challenge, or Ben de la Creme help direct a musical. I also remember that shortly after the promo for season 11 dropped, some of the queens were marketed for their affiliation with previous Drag Race alumni, such as Plastique Tiara, who is one of Alyssa's drag daughters, and Coco Montrese, who is Coco's drag daughter. And while neither one of them ended up forming any drama together, it's sort of peculiar that they had Alyssa and Plastique have a special moment together, but Kahana didn't get any of that. Anyways, I do find that while Coco was never able to find the same level of commercial success that Alyssa Edwards got, she still managed to retain her reputation as a legend around the Las Vegas scene and still is a prominent figure within drag culture there. It was also nice to see how World of Wonder finally got their senses together to invite her back as a lip sync assassin on All Star 6. Essentially, Alyssa Edwards is one of the main figures of the RuPaul's Drag Race franchise that really came from nothing and ended up an international star, and an amazing businesswoman. It's been sort of impressive to see how much she's been able to branch out over the years. And even if she's sometimes a diva, it seems that she keeps getting booked, so it must not be to the degree the rumors make it out to be. But what do you guys think?
I wanted to take a moment to thank my patrons. In the Elite Pink Squad, we have Matthew Burns, Gay Uncle, and Wendell Norris Realtor. And in the Green Squad, we have The Only Sean, O Nicole, Edgar Allan Pup, Franny Fishsticks, Tamin Ritter Fury, Emma Mallender, and Azure. If you'd like to see your name on the screen, you can support me on Patreon. The link will be in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, like the video and comment how you felt about this topic. Follow me on Twitter at GreenGayYT to receive updates on future content, and I'll see you guys next time.